The humans 74,000 years ago. The human species almost disappeared. Not civilization, not countries. Humans. Every person alive today, all 8 billion of us, came terrifyingly close to never existing. And the reason we survived? It was not strength, not intelligence, not war. It may have been shellfish. Stay with me, because this story begins with the most powerful volcanic eruption human beings have ever encountered. A supervolcano called Toba, in what is now Indonesia. When it erupted, it tore apart the planet with a force so extreme that scientists still struggle to describe it. Toba blasted nearly 2,800 cubic kilometers of material into the atmosphere. For comparison, the eruption that caused the year without a summer in 1815, Mount Tambora, ejected around 160 cubic kilometers. Toba was not slightly bigger. It was catastrophic on an entirely different scale. Ash spread across the globe. The sky darkened. Temperatures collapsed. Entire ecosystems began to fail. Forests died. Grasslands disappeared. Food chains broke apart. And somewhere in Africa, the only continent where Homo sapiens existed at the time, humanity entered a bottleneck so severe that some scientists believe our population may have fallen to just a few thousand people. Possibly fewer. Think about that for a second. Every human alive today, every culture, every language, every empire, every invention, may trace back to a population small enough to fit inside a sports stadium. Some estimates are even more extreme. A few dozen breeding humans. That is not a civilization. That is a campfire. And yet somehow, against impossible odds, we survived. For decades, scientists thought they knew the answer. Luck. A small population happened to live in an area less affected by the volcanic winter. Right place, right time. End of story. But new evidence is beginning to destroy that theory. Because the humans who survived Toba may not have been lucky at all. They may have already discovered the one environment on Earth that the apocalypse could not fully destroy. Here is what made Toba so deadly. The eruption itself was catastrophic near Indonesia, but the real killer came afterward. Hundreds of billions of tons of sulfur dioxide were blasted high into the atmosphere. There, the gas mixed with water vapor and formed sulfuric acid aerosols. Those aerosols reflected sunlight away from Earth. Scientists call this a volcanic winter. And after Toba, the volcanic winter may have lasted years, possibly more than a decade. The planet was already trapped in an ice age when the eruption happened. Toba pushed it even further. Rainfall collapsed. Vegetation failed. Animals disappeared. For early humans living inland, this was the end of the world. But along the southern coastline of Africa, something strange was happening. The same shell bead. Human communities there did not vanish. Archaeologists studying sites in South Africa discovered something they never expected to find. Continuity. The same tools before Toba. The same tools after Toba. The same shell beads. The same ochre pigments. The same signs of symbolic human behavior continuing through one of the worst environmental disasters in our species' history. That changes everything, because it suggests these people were not barely surviving. They were adapted, and the thing they adapted to was the ocean. Southern Africa sits where two major ocean currents collide, the cold Benguela Current and the warm Agulhas Current. Where those currents meet, marine life becomes incredibly abundant. Fish, shellfish, seals, reliable food sources that continued even while inland ecosystems collapsed. The forests died, But the ocean kept producing food. The shellfish kept growing. The fish kept swimming. And the humans living on that coastline already knew how to exploit it. While the rest of the world starved, they harvested the sea. That may be the reason humanity survived. Not because our ancestors conquered nature, but because they understood it. And here is the part that genuinely changes how you see human history. The people who survived were not necessarily the strongest humans alive at the time. Not the fastest. Not the most aggressive. Not the most technologically advanced. The survivors may simply have been the ones flexible enough to adapt when the world changed. That is a completely different story about what makes humans successful. Not domination, adaptation. And the archaeological evidence suggests something even more extraordinary. Even during this catastrophe, humans were still creating symbolic objects. They made jewelry from shells. They processed ochre pigments. They expressed identity. Think about how astonishing that is. The world was collapsing, and humans were still making art, still creating meaning, still behaving like us. That might be the most human detail in this entire story. Today, the site of the eruption is called Lake Toba, a vast volcanic lake in Indonesia. Beautiful, quiet, almost impossible to imagine as the location of an event that nearly erased humanity forever. Tourists stand there every year without realizing they are looking into the scar of an apocalypse. And maybe the strangest part of all this is what ultimately saved us. Not armies, not weapons, not cities. A coastline, a few communities, and the knowledge of where to find food when the world stopped working. Every civilization on Earth may exist because somewhere on the southern coast of Africa, 74,000 years ago, someone knew how to open shellfish. And when the sky darkened, the sea kept feeding them. This is Atlas Revealed. We go where the evidence leads. Subscribe, because next week, the discovery that may have just rewritten when humans first reached the Americas, and the new timeline changes everything.